3 years ago, we measured candidate Obama by his hopeful promises and his slogans. Today, President Obama has amassed an actual record of debt, decline, and disappointment.
That was moments ago Mitt Romney framing the argument that he hopes to make against President Obama in a general election. But right now, Republicans are split about who should carry the torch against a president who's seeing the unemployment rate and job growth move in a positive direction. RNC Chairman Reince Priebus joins me now to talk more about this. Mr. Chairman, it's great to have you with me. So let's get straight to it, talk about the jobs, because we know and we've discussed what the president inherited. But we also see job growth, which is going in the right direction. The unemployment rate is slowly but surely dropping, 22 consecutive months of private sector job growth. Shouldn't Republicans be working with the president to help move the economy forward? Why can't they?
Well, boy, that's a pretty front-loaded question with a lot of DNC talking points in it, Thomas. First of all, there are fewer Americans employed today than there were 3 or 4 years ago. You can't just add up the jobs added without talking about the jobs that have been subtracted, the people who aren't part of the Department of Labor statistics, the people who are employed but not making enough or not working enough. And so I think the reality is that the president, if he could be judged on giving speeches and what's in the speeches, why he'd be pretty competitive. But if we judge the president by what and how Americans feel and what the reality is out there across America, he's been an abyss failure. And so I think
if we judge the president on the standards and statistics of every president that we've judged presidents on,
sure,
how do you refute the facts of 22 straight months of consecutive improvement?
I just did, Thomas. There are fewer people employed today than there were 3 or 4 years ago. When he took office and spent almost $1 trillion on a stimulus, he said unemployment would be below 8%. On top of that, his transition team said, and there's charts that show this from his transition team, that if we pass the stimulus, in fact, forget the 8%, his transition team said that unemployment would be at 6% in the first quarter of 2012, and we're not even anywhere close. So this is not the standard that Reince Priebus has set or the RNC has set. If we hold Barack Obama to the standards that Barack Obama has set for himself, he has failed America, period.
So the unemployment rate, just to be fair, nationally is at 8.5%. So it's closer to that number than we've been in a long time. But I do want to talk to you, though, about the Republican race and what we're seeing about the candidates that are crisscrossing the country right now and trying to get the unification that they need of the party itself. It's really taken a toll on Mitt Romney over the past week, buckling under some pressure to release his tax returns. We have those now, at least the past 2 years, the collapse of what we saw happening in South Carolina. Do you feel, Reince, that Governor Romney's weakness with the conservative voters is a bad sign to things to come if he is the general election nominee?
Well, first of all, back to your point, and you made the comment and moved on. The unemployment rate isn't better off today than it was, and it's not closer. There's a whole lot of factors that go into those numbers that we don't have time for. But to your question now,
let's just factually state that it is at 8.5%, correct?
It's at 8.5%. However, you can't. But wait a second, Thomas. Are you trying to tell me that the people who are underemployed, are you trying to tell me that there are more people employed today than there were 3 or 4 years ago? Are we at the 8% that Obama promised? Are we at the 6% that his transition team promised we'd be in
you're
if we
like
passed
Lucy
the
with the football
bill?
talking about Charlie Brown. You continually move the football around. What are you holding the president, the accord and the standards that you're holding him against?
I'm holding. Hey, the beauty of this election, Thomas, is that we get to hold the president accountable to the promises and the standards that he set. I mean, he's the one that said adding $4 trillion to the debt was unpatriotic. Did he say that? But
yes.
And how much was added in his 3 years? $4.5
trillion. But when you think about this, and I understand that this is what you're paid to do, to come out and to talk about what you'd like to see the Republican Party do within its nominee. So let's get back on track with the Republican Party and Governor Romney.
Go ahead.
Governor Romney, and how you think that nationally he's going to do in a general election if he is having a hard time getting a unification and the effort needed, this swell of support in primaries.
Barack Obama had a hard time getting unification, and he cleaned our clock pretty good between him and Hillary Clinton, fighting it out for 6 years. I think that primaries like this are good for our party. They were certainly good for the Democratic Party 4 years ago. And I think having a little bit of drama and a little bit of a back and forth is a good thing for parties that are challenging incumbent presidents. And so I think it's par for the course in American history, and I think at the end of the day it's going to be good for the Republican Party.
And do you think Newt Gingrich is demonstrating the fire-testedness that Mitt Romney needs to get through to then take on President Obama?
Well, I think any of our candidates, including Rick Santorum and Congressman Paul, I think all four of them, I think, will be better presidents than what we have in the White House. So, and I think, yes, the battle testing is good, and I think, yes, a tough primary is good, and yes, they can ultimately beat a president that is residing right now over in America, doesn't have the jobs and isn't in the economic condition that he promised we'd be in.
RNC Chairman Reince Priebus. Reince, great to see you this morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas.
Absolutely. From Presidential